Welcome to the Weaver Sews. I'm Daryl Lancaster. Trying to select which size to trace from one of my patterns, or for that matter anyone's patterns, can be daunting. And it seems especially true for my patterns since I don't use traditionally recognized sizing. I use colors. But in reality, there is no size standard in the industry for women's clothing any longer. When someone says they are a size 12, it means absolutely nothing. The only standard available, which has no relationship to ready-to-wear today, is one from the 1960s, set by the U.S. Government Bureau of Weights and Standards, and is still in use today from the main pattern companies. It fits no one. Trust me on this. So most independent pattern designers, myself included, have worked hard to identify our demographic, the body type of the person most likely to purchase our patterns. Since I work a lot with the hand weaving community, which until recently had a more mature postmenopausal body type and required a certain ease or comfort in their clothing, I built my size range and fit around that body type starting back in the 1980s when clothes were pretty oversized. I've tweaked my fit model a lot since then, but I'm finding more and more younger hand weavers in the community, which is fantastic, but my fit model may need to be tweaked again. Meanwhile, you'll find if you carefully read the fine print in any given pattern that many of the independent pattern designers and even some of the old standards like McCall's print the finished garment dimensions on the back of or in the support materials for their patterns. And that's actually fantastic information. Here's an example of what the pattern dimensions are for my 200 jacket pattern. You'll note the finished bust circumference, finished lower edge, and finished length. So what do you do with that information? You'll need some personal information before trying to choose a size. And this means that you'll need to take a couple of measurements of your own body, but you'll also need to visit your closet first for some clues about ease. So let's talk about ease. Ease is the extra amount of fabric in a garment beyond your measurements that makes that garment wearable and fashionable. There are two types of ease. The first is wearing ease, which is the least amount of extra fabric needed to be able to move around, sit, walk, breathe, get in and out of a car, and eat in that garment. In a jacket, it would be between 3¼ inches and 4¼ inches, or 9.5 to 10.7 centimeters. Typically, that would refer to what we call a fitted garment. The second type of ease is called design ease, and that's the fashionable part. Current trends can dictate how roomy or tight-fitting a garment is, but the silhouette or shape of the garment and actual fabric can also play a part. Back in the 1980s, I was doing the craft fair scene, selling my jackets and other hand-woven garments in craft booths in the Northeast. I did that for about 10 years. The style back then was very oversized, with broad shoulders, heavily padded. A jacket would be over 10 inches or more than 25 centimeters of ease just across the bust area. In a commercial sewing pattern, you might see the words very loose fitting to describe the oversized ease. I never found anyone in my circles, either customers or students, that liked this amount of ease. Now that so many commercial fabrics are partly woven with spandex, getting a really fitted look, or even close fitting, and that's a thing, with an expandable fabric is pretty on trend. And that isn't a look I see in my circles either. So how do you know what kind of ease is right for you? Best to go shopping in your own closet. You'll want to look for woven items without spandex and try them on and see what you think. Is there a jacket already in your wardrobe that you tend to wear more than others, that you like the amount of room in it? Is there a shirt or a vest that seems to give a comfortable fit? One that might translate into a jacket? Take the garment off, button it up, lay it flat, and measure the circumference. Take your own bust circumference measurement and compare the two. It should be noted that for those of you with generous assets, larger than a D cup, for example, that fit across the bust may be misleading. I've talked extensively about adding to the cup size in a garment pattern in my video on darts, and that link is in the show notes below. If this is an issue for you, please look at that video and get a sense of how to increase a cup size, because you'll want to get the rest of the garment to fit and then adjust the cup. You might find that ease of somewhere around 5 or 6 inches or 12 to 15 centimeters more your liking. And then you'll add that amount of ease to your bust circumference and check the chart in the pattern support materials and see which size is closest to that measurement. So let's do an example. Here is a Chico's denim shirt I found in my closet. It's a Chico's size 1, whatever that means. If I try it on, I sort of like the fit. A little roomy and probably appropriate for a jacket. When I lay it flat and measure the circumference, I get a measurement of 41 inches or 104 centimeters. My bust circumference is 36 inches or 91 centimeters. When you subtract the two, it would appear that I like about 5 inches or 12.7 centimeters of ease. This is good to know. If we go back to our chart for my 200 jacket pattern, we see a size green, which has a finished bust circumference of 39.5 inches or 100.3 centimeters, and a red size, which has a finished bust circumference of 42.125 or 106.9 centimeters. Now, remember, the Chico's shirt that I tried on had a finished dimension of 41 inches or 104 centimeters. So it would appear that I'm right between the green and the red size, at least in the bust circumference. Well, that's a great starting point. I can absolutely trace between two sizes. And since the garment that I want to make will be handwoven fabric, and handwoven fabric is notorious for growing, I might choose to drop to the green size in the bust area so that the garment doesn't get too roomy. And in fact, that's exactly what I did when I traced off the pattern for this 200 jacket. I chose to stick with the green size because I knew, and rightly so, that this lovely wool handwoven fabric would give over time. Now let's talk about the lower edge. If we go back to the chart, there is a finished length measurement. That measurement is taken from the bone at the base of the neck, called the C7 vertebra. If you hung a conference badge or a necklace around your neck, the chain would bisect the C7 vertebra. It is the balance point for all clothing. So look at the chart and see what the length is for the size that you think you want. In this case, the green is 25 inches or 63.5 centimeters. Measure from the C7 vertebra down to that amount, and you'll find where that garment was designed to end. You, of course, can make the garment any length you want, but you'll need to know where the finished garment lower edge is after it's hemmed, so that you can make an assessment of the width of the lower edge in relationship to your body. In my case, when I measured down the 25 inches or 63.5 centimeters from my C7 vertebra, I found my hip circumference at that exact spot to be 40 inches or 101.6 centimeters around. Remember that I liked about 5 inches or 12 centimeters of ease in my jacket. So let's go back to the chart. If you take my hip measurement, where the lower edge of the finished jacket ends, which is 40 inches or 101.6 centimeters, and add ease, which is 5 inches or 12.7 centimeters, that comes to 45 inches or 114 centimeters. Looking at the chart of lower edge circumference measurements, I can see that the red size is 45 1/8 inch or 114.6 centimeters. Clearly, I need a full size red hip. So the size that I should trace, just to get me started, for my hand-woven jacket is a size green for the upper body and the length, and a size red for the lower body. Transitioning from one size to another at a side seam with a dart is not difficult, and I have a whole video that covers that specifically about combining sizes when a dart is in the way. So you might want to check that out. And my lovely jacket here reflects those decisions. Here is a green upper body and a red lower body. Perfect fit for me. Remember, your personal tastes, choice of cloth, body shape, lifestyle, all that determines how much ease you might like. Of course, you'll want to test the garment from some scrap fabric like an old bed sheet or beach towel before thinking about cutting out a hand-woven fabric. And just to show you the flexibility here, I wanted a bit roomier look to this jacket. Cut from the same 200 jacket pattern from this commercial Harris tweed, and so I cut a full size red. I've named it Not Your Boyfriend's Jacket. And I couldn't be happier with the fit of this jacket as well. Next time, we will explore a completely different body type, my daughter, and try on some test garments to assess what size she might like to look for in a jacket pattern. I'm Daryl Lancaster for The Weaver Sews.